Dylan, I'd like to ask the first question. Everybody knows that the road to success isn't a straight one. What was the worst experience you had as a young entrepreneur building Figma, and how did you come out of it?
Sure. Well, first of all, just before we get into all the questions, just a huge thank you to y'all for having me. I am a huge fan of Hack Club and all the work that you all are doing. And so it's the sort of thing that I really wish existed when I was in high school. And just so stoked to see this in the world. In terms of hard experiences, I mean, I think the hardest are the ones where the company like almost fell apart, and it's like you could actually imagine it just no longer existing because if we like react in a slightly different way, maybe. And there's two that come to mind. The first was sort of in the exploratory phase. For context, I started Figma with my co-founder Evan, who is a total genius and much much smarter than I am, in August 2012. And for the first, I don't know, until like June 2013, we were very much in more of an exploration mode and trying to figure out like how do we, what are we going to build, and what makes sense from a business perspective. And I think we knew we wanted to do WebGL, something with WebGL, which is a way to use the GPU in your computer in the browser. We knew we wanted to probably do creative tools. We knew we cared a lot about accessibility of tools and making it so that more people could use those tools. We thought kind of agreed with a statement that Brett Victor made, which is that if you can't use a tool because it's too complex, it's a moral wrong. I'm sort of butchering that statement, but he said something that was even more eloquent than that, and it really resonated with us. And as we were trying to figure out, okay, what exactly are we doing in that realm? We tried out lots of different things, and so we tried out some stuff around computational photography, photo editing, sort of like more classic Photoshop in the browser, image recombination, recomposition. And along the way, one of the things that we built and focused on for quite a while was a meme generator for like a week or two. And honestly, I think it was about a week. And, it was a kick-ass meme generator at the time. It was like, you have to remember, this is 2012. Meme generators online were really shit. And hopefully I'm allowed to say that word. And basically, like, because they were so bad, I thought, okay, if we can start to get SEO from meme generation onto Figma, then like from there we can introduce more tools and we'll start to build up an audience of people. And that was kind of the basic strategy idea. And after like a week of working on this meme generator, I remember looking at the mirror and being just going, holy shit, like I dropped out of Brown for this. What am I doing with my life? Oh my God. And then I walked out of the bathroom after staring in the mirror for a while and just feeling really depressed. And then, like an hour later, my co-founder Evan takes his headphones off and he's like, Dylan, like, I just can't do this. Like, if you want to keep going the meme generator thing, I know we're almost there. Totally cool, go for it. But like, I'm gonna have to find another job. And so, of course, we're both like, okay, time to change directions again. And that, was one step into the right, a few steps after that, we eventually got to where we are today. But yeah, I mean, I think that was like one place where it was like, it felt like, usually you're a little offset from your co-founder, and they might be on emotional high, it might be a low. And then from there, kind of that offset corrects things. But I think at that moment we were just both at this global low, and it felt like everything was falling apart, and it felt so existential. Like, why? And then, ironically, actually, though, the text generation stuff that we were doing, where basically doing compositing the text onto the canvas. That tech we were able to use later on for real Figma. So it wasn't a total waste in the end, but we didn't know then. Another time it almost fell apart was when I was a first-time manager. So I was around, I think we were around 10 people at this point. And, if one thing I did not know going into Figma that you all should know if you're thinking about entrepreneurship is that the leadership is a skill you're probably all aware of. You're in clubs, you're maybe you're in sports teams, and you can experience leadership through those areas. But I think it's very rare before you get into professional settings to really experience management as a skill. And it's actually a very different skill from leadership. They're related, but they're different. And management is a skill that you have to build just like any other skill. And there's muscles and sort of different things you have to figure out about it. And a year into Figma, I was figuring out how to be a CEO. I was figuring out what direction to take the product. And I was also figuring out how to hire people. But most of all, I was trying to figure out how to manage people. And it wasn't going so well. I made some hires that probably were, not the right fit in retrospect culturally. And I also wasn't empowering people enough. When you hire smart people, you got to give them a way to really contribute and to blow you away and to let you to do things that you would never think of. And if you micromanage and if you give people all the sort of here's exactly the recipe for what to do, they're not going to appreciate that if they're the right people to hire. And between all that, I think like at the same time, this is a few years in actually, but at the same time, my dad was actually dying of cancer, and so there's a lot of emotional stress that I was going through, which I think exasperated things even further. And at some point, like there was a conversation with this basically are my employees, and because there's so many things that were happening, and I was like, let's just all get together and talk about it. And it turned out kind of bad. It was people were really unhappy with me, and it was a moment where they're like, okay, we really need you really need to get help to help make this work. And eventually we did. We hired our first outside manager, and I actually learned a lot from him. But that was a moment where I was like, oh God, like it might all like collapse at this point. Like everyone might leave. This might be the end. And I think the other part of it was that we hadn't launched yet too. We were just months away, but we've been working on it for years, and so that was a really hard moment.